call. It's the normal time, the normal place. It's always fun to come back to home base and take a moment to collect myself and to reorient and give you guys a new direction, a new focus. Today's going to be a fun call. We're going to talk about a very important principle. And honestly, of all the things I've talked about in the past week, the past month, the past year, even this particular idea could, out of all of those things, be the one thing that gives you more power, more unlimited energy to take throughout your day. This is one of the most powerful things you can start implementing as a young man that will allow you to achieve great things. So it will help you and empower you to go through the program quicker, more efficiently. It'll help you blast through obstacles that you face and will allow you to make more money faster and honestly change your life. And one of the cool things about this particular mindset is after you adopt this, it will change how other people perceive you almost immediately. You'll go from being, let's say, an average guy to someone with power, someone with purpose, someone who people are drawn to. And at least that's been my experience with this particular idea. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story before we dive in. So a long time ago, years and years ago, I was a young man. I say young man, I'm 30 now, right? I'm not terribly old, terribly young. But when I was in my 20s, I remember looking around the world and trying to figure out what the heck was going on. I could tell the world was different. It wasn't the way I thought it would be or should be. I felt strong masculine urges in me as a young man to push forward and do amazing things. And everything that I did that I was told to do, for the most part, the odd one or two things that people recommended were good. But for the most part, what people in my life were telling me to do versus what I actually wanted, like it didn't actually add up, right? Like I would do the things, follow the rules, kind of follow the plan that people had laid out for me as what a successful man did. And it didn't provide any kind of serious power or serious fulfillment, right? I always felt like I was living significantly below my almost spiritual potential, right? I didn't feel like I was living a life that was true to my nature, was true to my ancestors, right? It didn't feel right. So I remember I was thinking, and I could tell that, the way that the media was portraying men and all this stuff, I could just tell that it was all a big, like there was obviously an agenda. There was obviously a thing pushing me away from certain masculine traits and pushing men towards being just sort of empty and kind of mindless, sad, depressed little worker drones. I was like, I didn't understand it. I tried to understand it. So I started doing a lot of study, a lot of reading, started reading different people who were talking about it, started doing a lot of thinking on my own. And the more I thought about it and the more I paid attention to the world around me, the more clear it became that almost everything in the world, from the food I ate to the stuff I consumed on TV or on social media, or what people were telling me to do, what the school taught, what systems taught, all of it was geared towards robbing me of my own personal masculine power and pushing me down into a slave-like role, right? And that might not have been the exact terms I used at the time, but I realized that there was a huge disconnect. And I, started reading about different conquerors, different people, read about the Vikings, the Mongols, all these people from back in the day, my ancestors on, different sides of the family. Turns out I have like 1% Chinese in me. So I'm claiming that as Genghis Khan, right? Since there's a 1 in 25% chance that I'm right. Anyways, the more I studied these guys and the way they lived, the more I realized it was completely different from how I was living my life currently. And I started making a change, right? I realized these guys were conquering. That was their main purpose. They would go out, they would fight wars, they'd fight battles, and they'd bring back value to the tribe. And that's what they did. That's what a man did back in the day, right? Some did it on a small scale. Let's say a small Viking chieftain would take he and his boys, they go raid a little English village, and they come back to their village. And that was their life. They just do that every single year, right? Or you could do it on a grand scale. You'd be Genghis Khan, and you could conquer, degrees of latitude of the entire earth, right? A quarter of the globe or something like that, or more, right? But that is what men did. That is what they did when they followed that I say that fire, right? Each of us deep down inside, there's something I like to call it like that masculine fire, that desire to conquer, that unlimited power you can feel just beneath the surface that the world tells you to shut down and be quiet. That thing, when you let that really fly, when you let that go, when you embrace that, it allows you to conquer and do amazing things. And the guys who did that were the people like Genghis Khan. They were the Vikings. Were the guys who went out and they fought and they brought back value to their tribe. Right. That's essentially what they did. Right. That's the behavior that it manifested. Right. I started reading again, guys. These are some of the things I can talk about here now that I couldn't talk about with the other platform. Right. This is one of the beauty of moving over. I'm going to be able to share more of my personal journey, more of my story, and some deeper insights that are frankly they're unsatisfactory for the outside world. So we get to talk about some things now that I don't usually get to talk about. But I remember I noticed this and I decided to make a shift. Right. I made a lot of shifts and we'll talk about more of them later. Right. And these are eventually some of the things that led me to Tate. They led me to the war room and that sort of stuff. But I realized that if I started to frame everything in my life or view everything in my life as either a hunting expedition, a hunt, or a raid, a battle, a country to be conquered, it allowed me to tap into greater energy and it allowed me to view things in a more conducive manner. I started to be more successful. That's when I think I started getting into copywriting. I crushed it when I started to view it as a battle to be fought, a country to conquer, an enemy to be defeated. And I embraced that and it changed everything. I viewed everything in my life as me going out and conquering, getting value and bringing it back to myself and my tribe, right? Those I cared about. That's how I view my life. And that's the lens through which I operate. I look at everything as if I'm going out and I'm fighting and I'm conquering against an enemy. And I'm using that to then bring back value to myself. Now, one of the things that does is it adds a level of competitiveness to this, right? It's someone else trying to impose their will on you and you're trying to impose your will on them. And whoever wins, right? That's the game. Now, I've talked about some general principles, and that's kind of how I've applied. That's the general frame through which I view the world. I view my life as war. I am at war with different things. I am seeking to conquer different territories. I'm seeking to bring back value to myself and others in a certain way. That's how I view my life. And that's a powerful way that you can view your life. Tate has talked often about how he views his entire life as he's always had an enemy. He's always had an opponent. He's always tried to fight and defeat that opponent. You know, maybe when he was a young kid, it was the chess guys. Then when he got a little bit older, he was kickboxing. He was fighting his opponents there. And then later, it was him fighting a war against being broke. And now he's fighting a war against the Matrix. No matter what, he's always woke up and had an enemy. And there's something powerful that occurs when you decide to have an enemy and you declare war on that enemy, right? When you say, I declare war on the forces of my life that are keeping me broke. I'm going to fight until I win. I'm going to defeat them in battle. I'm going to conquer this aspect of my life. There is an enemy that is trying to keep me down. I cannot allow this to happen. I refuse to cede a single inch of ground. I will conquer, right? When you accept that inside your mind and say, I have an enemy, and declare war on something in your life, declare war on an idea, declare war on the condition that you don't like. When you declare eternal war, right? I will fight until either I die or I get this thing. I accomplish this result. Once you decide that, it gives you unlimited energy. It triggers that indefatigability that you need to be a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor. Do you understand? Once you can pick an enemy in your life, it could be a big one, it could be a small one. When you pick an enemy and you steel yourself against them for eternal war, you tap into that mindset of I am a man, therefore I go to war, right? And you say, this is the war I'm fighting this war right now. Because we're not going to chop people up. We're not running around with swords, right? We compete and we fight wars on a higher plane now. We fight economically, we fight mentally, we fight spiritually. And sometimes we fight physically. That is true. And there's an element of physicality that will always be there. However, you must decide to declare war on the things that you despise and hate most about your life or the world around you. Declare eternal war. As I speak right now, you should feel a little tendril of energy flare up inside of you. You should feel just a little bit of what that energy is like when you're at war against a declared enemy, right? You should feel it. If you're young and you're broke and you haven't finished the boot camp yet, you should declare war on your ignorance. Declare war on the fact that you don't have any skills that are valuable in the world. Declare war on it. Let that pain and anger build up inside you and then channel that energy towards massive action to conquer and defeat your enemy, in this case, which is your ignorance. Once you've done that, you need to declare war on the fact you don't have clients. Get mad and obsessive over it and declare eternal war on your lack of clients and get to work until you can win. Move, conquer, accept no excuses, move forward until you find the correct way and win. And then you continue to find newer and greater opponents, newer and greater things to declare war against. And I promise you that when you do that, you will feel a huge surge of energy in your life. Everything will change. The way you wake up in the morning will change. You'll wake up early full of energy and ready to go. You won't be able to sleep. I can't sleep when I'm in full war mode. I cannot sleep. I try. It's really extremely difficult. I find myself waking up and getting to work. I just can't sleep because war is what brings out the best in men. It can bring out the worst, but it brings out the best in the best men, right? If you put yourself in a state of war, you will be your best. You will be your most competitive self, and you will win. So this Sunday, today, I want you all to decide who and what. What about yourself? What about your situation? What about the world do you declare eternal war against? And then I want you to take all that energy and take all that and go to war. Obviously, this is a war that you fight with your own mind. It's not a physical war. You're not fighting anybody in particular, but you are using your time and your energy to go out, push out into the world, and bring back value for yourself and win. Take some time today, declare war on something, and remember this. Remember the fact that you declare war. Let it be present in your mind and feel the energy surge up and allow it to push you forward to do great things in your life. Gentlemen, we're going to be talking about things over the next few weeks, over the next few days that are high-level mindsets. These are things that Tate has talked about, things that I've lived in my own life, things that have the power to completely transform you from a normal human being to almost a different species. You need to be showing up for these calls. You need to be listening to them. We have moved over to the new platform for a reason. Not only am I going to be teaching you better copywriting content, but I can give you better content as a whole to help you improve yourself as a man, right? I can do that now that we've moved over to the new platform. I can do that. I can talk about Tate. I can talk about things that I've learned. I can share my personal experience in ways that we couldn't before. So pay attention, tune in. The times might change over the next week or two as I travel, as I go about my life, going out fighting wars, conquering, bringing back value for you guys, my tribe. But in the meantime, tune in, listen to these ideas, take them seriously, right? Most of the time we listen and they kind of it filters through the top part of our brain. Take this information and bring it in and really think about it. Examine yourself against these ideas. It will give you an ability to make more of these ideas and use them better. The men who, and not everyone's going to do this. I know fully well that out of the thousands of people who watch these streams and are in the program, not all of them. In fact, probably most of them will just listen on the surface level and they'll go about their day and they'll be happy because they felt kind of nice on the call and they'll keep going. But a few of you, hopefully a lot of you, but a few of you certainly will hear these thoughts, will bring them deep inside your mind, and you will examine your life against them. And those of you who actually implement these ideas and live these ideas day by day, week by week, using the stuff I'm going to talk about over the next few weeks, are going to win. They're going to win not only in copywriting, but they will win at life. When you start taking these ideas, once you go to war inside of your mind, you are viewed as the man, not a male, not a guy with an XY chromosome, but as the man. Wherever you are the man because you are at war. You have a higher purpose. You will stand out and glow like a glow stick in the middle of the night because you have a different energy about you. So take these ideas seriously. Use them in your life. We're going to talk about copywriting too. We got a lot of important copywriting stuff, but you cannot be successful at copywriting unless you have the attitude. And you cannot be successful at copywriting unless you are a feared opponent. And I will talk about how to be more perspicacious, how to tap into greater indefatigability. Today's lesson is an important foundation for that. But I will teach you how to do this so you can change your mind, change your entire self so that you can become the man who deserves the success that you're here for. So it's been a good call. We'll do this again tomorrow. I will talk with you guys then. Go out, declare war against things in your life, use the energy, conquer, win, have a good time. I'll talk with you guys tomorrow.